HHDG. HHDG. HHDG.
Peace, HHDG. You're on another episode of HHDG Media, the podcast. And before I give our shout outs, apologize for a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're here. Big shout out to everyone that's tuning in through our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook group, Hip Hop Discussion Group HHDG. As you can see in the bottom banner, you can check out our website, hhdgmedia.com, for the upcoming events, written interviews, new music, and as always, our merch as well. Big shout out as always, because this is not just a podcast, not just a website, it's family, it's a company. HHDG Media Inc., which consists of our 5 owners, Rock Vader KB, T. Smith, Skelly Top, The Mayor, and myself, Wiki. For tonight, we have multi-talented is, setting the bar kind of low for this individual. He's beyond that. And just his ability, his determination, his skills, his creativity, and not just the music, the production, the artwork, but his creativity in the package that he gives to the fans. There's always a ill bonus incentive that comes with his music that, sets him apart from your typical just a CD or tape with some artwork. There's more to it. And it ties in with the concept of the projects that he releases. And with that being said, that doesn't put anything away from the skills that comes with the music that comes to our ears. He's ill on the production, the lyrics, the concepts, the storytelling that he provides, and no 2 albums ever sound the same. And with his talents, he has great chemistry with others that also are multi-talented. Names that should come to mind like Sankofa, Cloak and Dagger, which is Matthias and Crack Sizzlack, G Fan Black. This is just a few of them. Also Ugly John, and they're all repping pretty much the same area, Massachusetts. We got a few down, in the South, Atlanta and Fort Wayne area. But for the most part, they got an ill chemistry, and with all the talents that they have, there's no reason to go else to when they create their projects with the engineering, production, the lyrics, artwork, the videos, the video editing, all in-house. And it's not too many people out there, groups, crews that are capable of doing what they do the way they do it. The new album, Use Crayons, just dropped yesterday, April 15th. Produced by Melbourne's own Flu. And once again, an ill concept. If we'll definitely talk about the artwork as well as his creativity, his thought process of what came with this new album. There's a ill bundle that's out there right now, as well as the way he presented the cassette tapes and the CDs that we'll talk about too. So without further ado, repping Boston, I'd like to introduce P-Ro.
Peace.
Peace.
That's a hell of an intro, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. That was a great intro. I gotta use that for a skit or something.
That would be
good,
dope,
man.
Oh, doing good.
Word, man. Yeah, appreciate everybody that's popping in, joining along, and appreciate you for having me, man.
Yeah, you definitely got some of the family. I was just talking about in the intro, tuning in right now in the comments. So
yeah,
salute to y'all.
Yep. Yeah, salute to everybody, my knuckle draggers, and salute to you, man. I'm glad we finally getting to sit down and do this.
Yes, indeed. Been a while, and
yeah, for sure. If my camera falls, it's because of my cat. He'd be in here causing trouble.
So good. So, a lot of people know you for your artwork, and that like I said in the intro, that doesn't put any of your other skills, to the side, because you have the ability with your lyrics to do storytelling in a way that's always relatable. You talk about a lot of relevant things, sometimes highly mature, sometimes raw, other times humorous. So you bring a whole package.
Yeah.
And one thing, that I always enjoy is if anybody owns any of your music and they look at the layouts and the artwork and everything, and then while listening to it, which is a thing that I've been doing since I was younger, and so I always appreciate people like you that make physicals, is it resonates with what we're seeing with the visuals all the time.
So, word.
So before we talk about your past, just give us a glimpse when it comes to creating any of your projects. Is artwork a first vision?
Not always, but I do typically have it. I do have that advantage that a lot of people don't have, which I usually have my artwork done well in time. So I have the next probably like 5 or 6 covers and everything already done and ready. It's kind of even like it's kind of like with my art, which is like if I ever do something that has kind of some meaning or a message or a narrative or something to it, most of the time it just starts as like a scribble or whatever. So it's kind of the same, I kind of like find meaning later, or I find a way to I kind of do it backwards. so it's kind of the same way with the music. Is like I kind of once I get a uh, when I get the beats, I kind of have to have them all. Like I prefer to have them all or most of them, and I kind of have this like picture in my head, not of
Mhm.
like artwork of kind of the whole like landscape of what the project is going to be, and I write everything. You know, I'll bounce between all the songs, um, all you know throughout a day. You know, I'll bounce in between all the different songs with like the whole puzzle in my head and kind of just filling in the pieces, and then the art. Sometimes the art, like with the used crayons. Once I had the idea for the theme, kind of like I try to come up with a theme most times, based off what I hear. I did have that cover in my head,
Okay.
and I had a lot of like the merch ideas and stuff like that. Like not long after that, but I kind of like morph everything, the music and the art as I go. Like it all kind of comes together.
Yeah. All right. Dope. Dope.
Yeah.
And being that you're wearing your own hoodie right there, which is dope.
Yeah.
If anybody's been on this IG, definitely need to go check out that hoodie.
Yeah.
X-Men, X-Men
Thank you.
97's be in particular. Dope.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's my shit, man. I just rewatched it again recently, a few weeks ago. Love that.
Yeah. Well executed from, the writing to the animation, everything.
Oh man, it's beautiful. That was my favorite show growing up. So when it came back, I was a little nervous but excited, and I'm glad
Yeah.
they killed
Yep.
it. You know, I'm just waiting for the next season, man.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know.
Yep. So are those being sold right now?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. I can do. I can order them. I did. I sold probably. I don't remember how many I sold, but I did
Mhm.
sell a bunch of them. You know, people just saw them and they liked them and they hit me and get it. I'm gonna be doing more hoodies and T-shirts and stuff this year.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm gonna have a lot more coming. You know, but yeah, people could definitely they could hit me and put an order in. Get the whole X-Men squad in there.
Dope. Dope. So
Yeah.
I feel that when I see your artwork, that the saying is when we get older we lose a bit of our childhood. I feel that your artwork is you still having that same childhood energy.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Sometimes probably a bad thing when I should be cleaning the house or something, and I'm just drawing cartoons and comic book characters and all that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just still it's still just a part of me. I don't like everything I loved is still. It's like I feel like now it's also that saying. I forget exactly how it goes, but it's more like I'm an adult now. I got my own money. I'm gonna like what I like and buy what I want to buy. And
Uh-huh.
people collect stuff. People, I collect all kinds of stuff too. So um, yeah, never let that go. Like usually, if like in the background, I'll have some animated something playing. You know what I mean? Most of the time, it's something animated more often than not. Whether it's for the art or it's just a funny show or whatever it is. Like I'm still very much. I gotta have like art. Like I don't know, it speaks to me more. So
Mhm.
I am still a kid. So for in a lot of ways, it don't feel like it, but my body don't feel young, but
I get you. Yep.
you know,
Yeah. Because
so I
for a while for
appreciate that though.
yeah, for a while for me, I wasn't buying comics as much as I used to, and then I think it was maybe about 10 years ago. Yeah, it's about 10 years ago. I started, just going back in the store, seeing what was there,
Yeah,
and reading, and then from there, it's just I kept going back, and then there's there's so many storylines that are out there. It got to a point where I was like, I got to pinpoint why we need to stick with, because comics are not cheap, number one,
No, no.
and they
And it's
can go
yeah,
everywhere. Yep.
right, right. It's very easy to get pulled off track
Yep.
with stories and different. I mean, even with for me, like I was maybe like 15 or so years ago. I think in like 2018 ish, I kind of slowed down, but I was, I started reading comics again. Then I was at the store, and then eventually I was buying so much that they had a bin, subscription bin where I had
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
15, 20 monthly comics. I go in there picking them up, and I'm like, man, I'm spending all this money. I wasn't even reading some of them, but I was following like writers and artists and stuff. You know what I mean? And like
Understand.
independent.
Yep.
So it's like if they drop something, I got to get it. You know what I mean? I got to get all of them. So I definitely know what you mean. And my bookshelf upstairs, the whole thing is just full of comics and trades, and it's crazy.
All right. All right.
But it's great, man. Like there's a lot more. There's a lot more. We're not in a small group there. You know what I mean? Like everybody our age is like, I'm 41. Like we're all, everybody's into, if they're not into comics, like people still watching wrestling and comic books and
Uh-huh.
all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, why not? We still get tapes and like to read, like you said, I used to do the same thing and read the credits. Like that's why I want to do like a release where I have more credits in it and like more fold out and
Okay.
stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I used to love doing that, but I'll probably do that on something coming. I've been meaning to.
All right. Okay. So let's dive into your past. Your childhood. There's been mentioned before that you and a friend used to draw monsters. What particular type of monsters were y'all drawing?
Oh man. I honestly, I think it was just kind of that was like preschool, kindergarten, everything, and then me and him like for years, like we were good friends and
Mhm.
we always drew, but it was kind of just whatever we could make up. It wasn't really like a specific monster or
Right.
based on anything. It was
Your own
just
imagination with it.
yeah.
Got you.
You know, and I think it's good to have that. It was good having that growing up. Was like I would draw things that I liked, but then I would just draw my own things, and
Hmm.
um, now I can kind of mix both. Like I've done enough of each to kind of be able to bounce between them, or whatever I need to do to get the job done. But I know people that went to college and for art that could draw, they kind of forgot how to, like, they can't draw no more because they got taught a certain way. Like you're supposed to look at it like this with the
Hmm.
perspective and like all the proper ways that you're supposed to traditionally look at art, and they get so caught up in that they can't just like sit and draw a
Like
circle and turn it
freehand.
into something.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So
Wow.
I think maybe that's where that started. But
Okay.
yeah, long ago, man. It never stopped.
That's dope. And at what point did you expand that and start doing sketches of people?
Um, Sketching people came a lot later. I think like the in high school was the first time I really started. That was where I got my training grounds for dealing with like clients and stuff, because it was
Hmm.
like people at school would pay you, or you do it for free or whatever it was. Like I was the artist, I was cool with everybody, so everybody had something of mine, um, some of my art, and that kind of it's kind of how it is now. But um, it wasn't until I was like in my 20s or whatever that I started trying to like learn faces, because I wasn't really good at it before. So
Hmm.
um, I did a lot of different type of drills and put a lot of time into like just different ways of mastering faces and different styles and trying to um, just trying to figure it out, because I really ended up really liking it too, and I took to it good. So, a lot of practice, but yeah, probably like in my 20s or so is when I started. I would do paintings and stuff, and then, then gradually it became like drawing people online and sketching people, sketching my friends, doing caricatures, and to what I do now. It's there's not a lot of people that can do faces. Faces is a hard thing,
Hmm.
and it's frustrating to be an artist in hip hop because not a lot of people can do faces, and it's not an easy thing, and it's sometimes I'm like, I can appreciate something for what it is, but I'd put a lot of time into it for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, there's an IG page. I think it's Sketch Daily Dose that I usually check, and
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
there's some amazing people from around the world that they post on there.
People do crap. I mean, I've seen, you see these guys out here making like portraits out of like nails and like a barbershop, all the hair on the floor, and it's
Yep.
crazy, man, the things that people do. That stuff's wild, man. That's
Yep.
like I can't. That's not for me, man. That's too much. I don't have the patience for all that.
Now you mentioned people started seeking your work. Was this also around the time when you were heavy into the graffiti that they were also looking into you?
Yeah, I
Getting you?
mean, yeah, I should have mentioned that. That's probably that was the main reason because
Okay.
you know that's what I did, and that's I could do people's names. You know what I mean? Like some graffiti artists were paying me to come up with their tags and their bubble pieces and stuff, and
That's dope.
girls would want their names, and everybody would want their name on their notebook or a sticker or
Mhm.
whatever. So yeah, that's kind of how that all started um, in high school. But yeah, I mean, I was doing graffiti before that, but
Okay.
that's all started through the graffiti.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
So, at what point through, your early life did hip hop with the MCing and the production, come into your life?
Um, Hip hop, it was fairly early. I remember being, um, how old would I have been? Like 11 or 12, white kid in my area. Like my area was diverse, but, um, I remember I had the first Biggie tape, and I had the Wu-Tang tape, and my mother took them from me. Well, she took the Wu-Tang tape, but she let me keep the Biggie one because it was edited. But then, like, as I got older and everything, it was like you would just hear radio stuff, and then I really just hip hop really just swallowed me up pretty early. Probably not too long after that. A couple years after that, maybe, and it all came hand in hand with graffiti and everything. That used to really be a lot more of, it used to be more of the culture than it is now. But you could say that every year, right? Since hip
True.
hop started, it's
Yep.
faded every year. But we would skateboard and we would be tagging, and and then in high school in ninth grade, um, I seen a cipher, and that changed my. I was like, I didn't know what it was. Like I didn't know people could rap. Like it was this like mythical thing. Like I was
Mhm.
like, wait, people could just do this. Like I didn't know. I thought like people that made music were like superheroes. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I never thought of it in the sense of like you could know somebody that knows how to do all these things. And it just blew my mind. And I was like, all I wanted to do was that. And I was just write, filling notebooks. And a friend of mine really got into it more. And, we would freestyle, like making fun of our group of friends or whatever, just goofing off, and then it really picked
Yeah.
up. And, then it naturally progresses from there. But, yeah, definitely. It came from a freestyle. Like that was back in, like 98. So back then, there really wasn't a lot of white dudes rapping. So we would have to, we'd be battling a lot, and we'd be always be having to prove ourselves, and it was more like proving grounds back then all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very much like cutthroat and having to prove yourself and stuff. So that's where it all started, and it's just, I mean, it was in me. It was, I mean, the culture has always been in me. Through the music, the graffiti, and everything. If I had a rhythm in my body, I'd break dance, and I'm all thumbs with turntables. So, these are as far as I could go. But I try to keep it. I try to keep it alive in everything I do. Even when I do like regular art, sometimes you see little, you might see little hints of graffiti or whatever style I use or whatever in it.
Right. Yep.
I don't know if that explained. I don't know if that really answered anything, but
No, it does.
I could get rambling sometimes.
And then how about the production?
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah. So the production actually was kind of funny. Like the first time I made a beat was on one of them PlayStation games where you could make a beat, like you could drag different like drums and samples and stuff. And me and my friend were doing that, and then we were like, we got to really like try to make, because we were like, oh, these sound kind of dope, but you can't really. It's so limited. So started making beats on Fruity Loops. It was all right. And then I bought an MPC. So I really probably started really getting into making beats in like '06. Produced a bunch of records back then. Like we were doing shows everywhere. And we had a little, we had a good little run for a few years, a group of us. And I guess I was never really, that was never really the priority. Like if there was a few more hours in a day, I'd get more production in, but I get it in where I can. I got a few projects this year I'm gonna be producing and stuff. So I love that too, but again, I just don't get enough time for it. But that's how I started getting into it, and I loved it. And it's fun, and it's like, like Knuckle Draggers, that's the funny thing about it is, except for GFAM, everybody's a producer. Like it ain't a rap group, there's three of us rap, but it's all producers, so it's like, and now most of us engineer and mix stuff too. I think Tali's in here, Tali Rodriguez, he taught me how to mix and master stuff, and I make beats with him too, as unstable components. And yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe, I love producing. I wish I could really spend a lot of time focusing on it. That's what I was gonna do in 2020. When COVID hit, they were doing them versus things, and some friends of ours put one together with me and Melody, who's a producer out here. He's done projects for GFAM. He did produce a project for GFAM. He put out an album last year. He produced a few songs on My Levels in the Detail album last year, and some other joints we've done. I've known him forever, but we did one of them versus battles with records that we produced in the past. And GFAM wanted to do an EP. I was just starting to kind of really get to know him a little more. And we did that. And I was like, we did the Unstable Components album, me and Tali. And it was like, all right, I'm just going to produce. And I started writing a little bit, and I got the bug back. And, I got to wipe the dust off the MPC every few months,
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Didn't Melody produce the first track on April 19th?
He might have. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what that is.
I remember that's one of your earlier projects.
I don't know. I remember the project. I don't remember what the first song is, but he very well could have. Yeah. I mean, I've been working with D for a long time. Like Headshots, the crew he was with, like Let's Have the God is in that, Slant Headshots, Sully, INF. I did an album with INF a few years ago too. Melody produced something on that too. So yeah, I've been working with him forever. He's one of the dopest producers out here. Period.
You say he's one of the dopest producers?
Yeah, from out here in Massachusetts. Yeah, I think Mellow D is like top of the line. I think he can. If he really wants to pull it out, he can catch wreck on everybody out here. And I mean that. I mean it respectfully, but he's a monster.
That's dope, man. There's always been, I think every decade, there's always talent coming out of Massachusetts. And
Yeah.
a lot like what I was mentioning in the intro with G-Fan Black, Crack Sizzlack, Dias, all of y'all have these talents and you work well together. And it seems like no matter who it is in the Massachusetts area, if y'all have a core group of people, y'all always tend to work well together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Massachusetts always had a lot of talent, man. It was always, looked at as one of those crab in a bucket cities. And I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I mean, I was around. We were doing shows, like I seen it firsthand, a lot of years ago, and it is true. But at the end of the day, that's one dope thing about hip hop now is I think the underground is maybe like the healthiest it's ever been, because I think like there's so much of it. It got past the point of everybody being mad at how oversaturated it is, and everybody
just do your own thing.
Dope. Yeah, people just vibe with each other. We're all a little older now too, so I think you're more mature, and you're not gonna, you wouldn't like everything you make is gonna be that much more solid because you're more sure of it. And you're more mature about everything. Like you meet good people in this, you know what I mean? Like since I came back, it was like, man, I don't want to talk to rappers, man. Like G-Fan was always telling me, like, nah, you got to talk. You got to. I'm telling. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with rappers, but like, I'm glad I did, because I've made friends, people that I consider friends. And I've learned from them. We've got to do stuff for each other, with each other, whatever. And it's a dope network, everybody's supportive and shows love, and it's very productive and without being competitive like it was. I mean, like in a good way, but I think I say that to say that I feel like everything's less regional based now. Like everything used to be like, yo, I'm Boston, New York and Chicago and Detroit and, Cali and all that. But you don't really hear that anymore in hip hop. Like you don't really hear a lot of, like, if you listen to somebody enough, you know where they're from, but it used to be a lot more regional based. And now it's kind of like, every day I talk to people in, a lot of the people I talk to ain't even in Massachusetts. Some people ain't even in the same country. So, I talk to people every day, and like you're in New York, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, every day, man, it's dope, and it's never like, yo, where you from, or oh, I don't know, he's from here or he's from there, and like you got, Tali's in Georgia, like you said, Ugly John's in Japan. I work with a lot of people in Canada. Flu's in Australia.
Yep.
So I mean, it's dope, and yeah, there's a lot of dope people in Massachusetts. Always has been. A lot of talent, a lot of slept on talent. I put out a bachelor party mixtape or project last year, and we had a day for my bachelor party where I just invited artists to the studio, and we rented out a studio for the day. Cloak and Dagger did, and we had like 20 something different people come through in and out during the day, and we made an album, like 18 joints. And it was dope to just get together with people and make stuff in person. And I don't really work with like a lot of the people I work with on my albums, like besides my immediate team, like, you don't see a lot of them people on my albums. So it was dope to get everybody on there. It's all Massachusetts, and, I always like to represent and show. Boston's always dope. Boston got their hands in every facet of entertainment and arts and everything. There's ties to Boston everywhere. So
That's true.
Just trying to carry the torch, I guess.
Yep. And being that Tolly's in the comments, I got to give him a shout out because the project you did, Back to the Pulpit with Jay Fliz, dope joint.
Oh, Tolly. Yeah. Yeah, Tolly. Yeah, they just dropped that last month, couple months ago, I think.
Yeah, I think it was in February. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Tolly's a killer, man.
So you said you've known them for quite some time. How did everyone meet? Especially those that aren't from Massachusetts. How did you meet up with them?
I mean, I know Matthias. I knew Matthias through my kid's mother. He knew her sisters, and I knew him before music, and Crack Sislak, I met him through music. He used to just come through to the shows, and then he started getting back into music. And I talk to Crack most days like that. Like he's my sounding board for most stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's come out, or any advice I get, like I get it from my team, but like I talk to him almost every day. It's like my right hand man. But I've known them forever, and then they started making beats together, and because Matthias used to just engineer. He used to, well, he still does. He's the master now, but he records everybody. So then eventually he naturally got into making beats, and those are my brothers, so it's like I love making. I've made the most music with them since I came back, and it's like me and Matthias just recorded an album 2 weeks ago. It's coming out next month. So it's nice. I get to go out, take a ride out to go see him like an hour away, and we spend a day, and we leave with a project. So G-Fam, I met through them too. He was kind of already starting and doing his thing. I wasn't really on socials or whatever, but I knew of him, and we would talk here and there. I did some covers for him. My wife did an album cover for him. In like 2019 or I don't even remember, but naturally we all, he was so productive. I was always really productive too back in the day, but like I couldn't record, and everything wasn't as easy as it is now. So this era really suits me. So, G-Fam really, he really made me want to move, and he was, we just clicked, and Tolly, and it kind of became like a three-headed beast. And I knew Tolly from Tolly knew my man Judge D from out here. He introduced us, but then he had also known OG Ben Grimm, who's on most of my projects. They already knew each other, and he and Grimm is Aztec's brother, who I know Aztec. I've been working with him. I've known Aztec for probably like 20 years at this point. So everybody's just connected, and it used to be a real big scene. Like we were a real big group back in the day, and now everybody's doing their own thing, kind of different, or not really working as much, but
still working together.
Yeah, but like your likes click, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And like I said, like there's people that I've met last few years that it's kind of just like an automatic now. Like you need this, I need that, whatever, and it's like you knew each other for a million years. Like when you talk to other creatives, you know what I mean? It's like they can understand you the way you think and talk, so it just speeds things up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When it comes to creating your projects, what is when you do the production? How do you go about creating it? Is there any particular type of music outside of hip hop that you might have heard that might have sparked something? Is there something going on in your life that might spark something?
Yeah, there's a lot of where I don't really get to spend a lot of time with the production. I used to listen to more different stuff more often, or spend some time just going through different music and searching for samples or whatever, and kind of I do kind of like I kind of tend to blow toward my mood and where where I'm at, because like if I want to make a certain style of beat and I'm not in that mood and like I need to make that, like it's just not going to come out right. So um my wife has a really dope um deep like catalog of soul and old R&B and all kinds of old shit like that. Like
Nice.
I can't keep devices long enough to keep all my, like I lose all music I have is all gone. You know what I mean? Like if my Apple Music is gone tomorrow, I don't have anything. You know, so through old computers and hard drives and everything, it's all gone. I have CDs and stuff, but you know, I hear stuff through her or just random stuff here and there. Like if I hear something, I'll write it down. I tend to just kind of, if I'm producing for a specific person, I kind of tend to, I don't know, I just have this feeling in my head. Like when I produced the G-Fam album last year, he used a few beats that I already made, and I was like, let me make you something. Let me make something for it. Like I didn't get to do that last time, so I cooked a bunch of beats up, with just like a certain mood in mind. I guess I kind of go by mood in my music.
Okay.
So just kind of like a certain mood and certain sounds and things that I wanted, that I think it needed, which was helpful that I already had a few beats that he picked to kind of balance them out. You know, I might, you know, certain people I might just look for like just soul, like more like nice soul beats. Some people I might want something more dark. And I'm really bad with like remembering everything that I take in and that I sample and everything. But I really like old soul, jazz, R&B, blues stuff. Anywhere it comes from, you know. Soundtracks too. There's a lot of dope soundtracks. Like watching TV shows,
Oh yeah.
catch a lot of dope songs where you're like, damn, this is fire. You know, and I've found some music through that I just listened to without even, you know, I used to just go and collect music to sample, and I just end up listening to it all. I don't even sample it half the time.
Got you. So being that we're talking about production, let's talk about your So Fine series, Volume 1 and Volume 2. There's I think it's on Volume 2, Mount Olympus. Yeah, Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
That was one of my tracks that I listened to a lot.
Word, that's dope. Yeah. That the reason that's an instrumental and not a song is because everyone was like, "Oh, Ludacris used this," and I'm like, "How the hell do I know that shit? I don't listen to Ludacris, man. Just use this, just do it." But nobody wanted
Yeah.
to use it. But yeah, those were like, I just called those that was just a folder because it was 2009. I made all those, so it was like 09, So Fine. So that's the folder I had, and you know, back in 2020, before, you know, COVID hit, I'm like, I came across some beats. I'm like, man, I should just drop some beat tapes. And, you know, we had some contests. Some guys, people rapped over them and shit and did like a little prize pack. But yeah, those are, I'd like another shot at some of those samples. Those are the good ones though. But like I actually do go back and track down samples that I flipped a long time ago that never got used that I know I could do better. And like the intro for the G-Fam album, Sketchy, that I did last year, I sampled that record years ago, and I was just never, there was just something about it that I didn't like, that was just off. and I came across it again, and I flipped it, and I was a lot happier with it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should do another beat tape. I lost all my old beats though from my old computer.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean they're on a hard drive somewhere. I gotta find them, but I got some from the last few years. Maybe I could do a little beat tape or something and drop another little thing in there if people want it. But yeah, I loved all those beats. I wanted to put those out because I always did like all those beats, and I think I always was good at picking samples. So
Cool. Another one year series, and I'm wondering if anybody's paid attention to the names of your projects. They usually involve a particular action or emotion. Painter's Touch, the joint you did with Chuck Chan.
yeah.
It involves action. What you would be putting forth, and the same thing with the series Chump Change.
Yeah.
But once again, this is something in reality that we would be going through.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, Chump Change was kind of, I don't know how, I think the name of it was just like, I think because I wanted to do something free. Like I don't like to charge people for something especially now I'm dropping something every month. Like if people are like, oh, I'll grab the project. I'm like, yeah, just listen to it, enjoy it. If you get a chance to hear it, cool. It'll always be there. But Chump Change was like, I had all these producers and I had beats or people wanting to work, and it's like I couldn't do a project with everybody. So I'm like, well, we'll just I'll do a quick tape. It's
Mm-hmm.
Chump Change. It's nothing. Like, not that it's a throwaway or I treat it like that, but it's like, this is what we do. Like, give me a week, and here's a project. Like, we could do that.
Okay,
So it was kind of like a braggy thing in a way, but it was also like, it's free. You know what I mean? Chump Change. It's free. Just take it and yeah, I don't know. And then I started doing like flips on the title. Like the second one was Swear Jar, and the third one was Triple Sided Coin. There's not really much meaning behind them other than just like trying to have a cool play on it, something that sounds cool. But I love doing those because every time it's different I don't use any producer more than once, and it's like a fun way. Like I mean, I've had a lot of people say like, oh, there's essential P-Row songs on these. Like if they're not just throwaway project, like that. There's like joints on them, and they're fun to do those. And I mixed the last one. It was actually harder to mix 6 songs by 6 different producers than it was to mix 10 by the same producer when I did that. So, and yeah, Painter's Touch. I actually used Painter's Touch was actually a song title I used on my Ugly John album in 2020, or 21. But I really liked it, and it felt right for that project. And it was like, that was when I really started owning because I was seeing that like fans and my peers were kind of seeing me as like, they liked what I was doing because it was all this creativity and the art stuff. And I'm like, all right, well then I'm just going to lean more into that and do more art references and maybe kind of bring more of the art world into the music. Cause that's what I know. That's what I do. Kind of like, a gangster is going to do gangster rap or whatever you are. So it's just like, that's what I'm going to do. This is a Painter's touch to it. And it needed a serious tone because it was Chuck. And it's one of my favorite projects.
Don't fear. Now,
and people thought, somebody said, a few people, sorry to some people thought that Handwriting on the Wall, which I did later that year, was a follow-up to Painter's Touch. I thought that was interesting because it really wasn't meant to be. Me and Chuck will be working again.
Nice.
So like, I don't know if it'll be a follow up to that. I don't know if it'll be. I don't really like to do series too much, but so a couple people actually did say like, is this supposed to be like a follow up to Painter's Touch? And I thought that was interesting because you said I like what you said too. Is that most of my projects don't sound the same, which that's definitely intentional, and I'm glad like you seem to pick up on a lot of things that I do, but I try not to make it too obvious. But not to say that those albums sounded like, but I thought it was interesting that they both had art themes to them. But then everything does now after that. So maybe that was just like, oh, now he's just doing it. I'm just doing it every time.
Dope. Continuing on with the project Painter's Touch, we got to speak on you creating a connection with your physicals, something always unique. And you did that when I bought Painter's Touch with, I don't know if y'all can see that. This is P-Roll's work right here.
Yeah, one of a kind.
With the easel.
Yeah, man.
What makes you want to have something unique with your projects like this that you've done more than once?
Honestly, I think the main idea of it that made me want to do it goes back to the when I wanted to give people something free, like I would drop like I've dropped a bunch of free projects, so it's like I don't like to just give people like a CD, like it's cool and I'm glad people like it and it's dope. And I know sometimes people they'll buy the CD just to support you. They like I don't play CDs, I have CDs, I don't play them. I buy some, but it really was more of that like I want to give people more for if I can't give them something free, like I want to give them something. I don't want to just give them a CD. Again, not that there's anything wrong with a CD, but it was like just something that I wanted. I wish I could do, and I wanted to do, and
Yeah.
it was like maybe one day, but never really knowing what it would be. And then I don't know. I did Broken Record was the first pack I did when I did that album with Cloak and Dagger, Broken Record. And I painted a record, I drew on it, and then I there's a video if you go back on my IG. I just smashed this record with a hammer, and I signed and numbered them all, like in the front of them. The
I remember that.
Yep. I did another one. Like I kept this one, but I did one of these and I broke it and I signed the backs of them and I numbered them. And then I did like little laminated prints, some stickers. Because I figured I got all this art. I can do stuff. Why not give people something cool? Me and G-Fam, the first album, or the second one I produced for him, Draw, I did a cartoon of his character for every song, and we did like a little mini comic book with it. So it was like that kind of started the ball rolling, and then it just got maybe too big for my britches at times. For sure. A couple of them were really like ran me into the ground with the amount of work it took. So now it's more about like knowing what I can do, knowing how much time I have, how much time I need, pacing it, organizing, and I like to have I never like if I do a special merch pack, I don't like to give anybody. I want everybody to have like you have that, and nobody else has the canvas you have. You know what I mean? And I didn't just do it on a white canvas or a black canvas. I painted them all different colors, so there's at least one item that nobody else has in in everybody's pack. You know,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. That's dope.
I did. Where's the? I did the activity book from Knuckle Dragger's album, comic book cover, and it's it's like a whole activity book and art and
Yeah.
this.
Each,
I mean, it's
each
like a
project is
30-page
unique.
book.
Yep.
I mean, every page is a document on my iPad, and I mean, this was a ton of work. You know what I mean? Like, that was a lot of work, and then I printed them. I stapled bound them all together and everything myself, and then like 2 months later, I did the project with Onaje Jordan. That was like, it was a concept album, and the cover was like us as Lego characters, and
That was
I did
dope,
Lego.
man.
I did Lego character. I was at the mall on a Sunday with a bunch of kids near Christmas, going through the little bin and picking out heads and arms and legs and building characters and painting them. And I mean, that one was I bit off more than like that. That was way too much work. I had to take a break from them for a little while after that one. That was a big one. But I do like. I mean, I love doing it. I love having something special for people, and I like when people get excited about it and they collect it. You know what I mean? And I love having stuff to hold. Like, I think you're the same way. Like you say,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah.
you read the thing when you get, like, we used to read the CDs and tapes when we get them. So we love to have, and I think our generation is bringing that back to where it's like we like to have things to hold. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
See, look, I got these right here.
There they are. Unique, each one.
Yep.
And for those tuning in, there's only one left now.
Oh, there's only one now? Damn. You got the scoop before me. That's dope though, man. I'm glad it worked out, because the Lego thing wasn't as successful, and I had some life stuff come up that really affected me being able to promote them, and I kind of had to push everything to the side for a while. But these should do well. I did a lot of work promoting them and editing the videos and stuff. I'm just glad people want them like that, and that I mean, they're so cool.
Yeah, they are.
And the tapes are so cool, like the crayon packs, and I got it all here.
It's that part right
and
there.
I made those little crayon packs. Like, I folded them and glued them and everything, like, because that's what it was. Like, that's what we came from. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, you got to make it happen. It's like, what's
going to set you apart?
Yeah, but it's also like, it's kind of what we do. Like Knuckle Drags, it's like you said, it's all in house. But it's, I think for creatives or for artists, like, people are like, oh, that must be so good for therapy or whatever, and it is. But I think the best use for it is problem solving. Like, in everyday life, is problem solving, and I think that's what it is like, well, I need this. How can I get it? Like, well, am I going to pay all this money and I have to order 500 boxes of crayons, but I can't put my design on it? I have to, like, it was all these hoops that I had to jump through and all these sites and everything. And I'm like, man, let me just try to do this myself. Because it's like, well, what do we got around us that can get the job done? And, that makes it more fun. And I think people appreciate that too when they see that, and they're like, "Oh shit, like that's cool." I mean, I hope that's how it comes across.
Yeah, it does. And the other element that makes it more appreciative is you putting up videos on IG of you going through this process.
Yeah. I think I've gotten a lot of feedback about, like, the process of things and how things are made, and like, I was always interested in that, and like, my kids even do it. Like, you criticize a show. Like, I was watching a movie with my daughter the other day, and she's like, I could edit this better. And she can. Like, it was like a bad sci-fi movie. She's 11, and she's like, this footage, like, this was too long, they should have cut it. So it's like,
She
we like
knows
to see the
already. That's
process of
great.
things, and people
Yeah.
really responded to it when I did it before. So I was like, all right, well, I have fun doing that, and you know, I'm not a master of video editing, but I can make it serviceable enough to be presentable. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's fun to do. It's fun to put those up there and break it up a little bit.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, growing up, was there anyone that influenced you to be the creative person that you are?
Um, it's funny because I used to always say my aunt, but she just took like a, an art class in college. Like I used to think she was this like crazy artist because she used to have this like sketchbook with like these charcoal drawings of like houses and stuff, and they were really. I remember them being really good when I
Mhm.
was a kid, and you know, um, I thought she was this crazy artist, but she just took a class,
Wow.
and but um, no, honestly, I mean, it really just stuck with me. Like my friend that we used to draw monsters, my friend Sean, like you know, because everybody was an artist until they stopped kind of pushing it in school, and then you either a few people stayed with it, everybody else just went and did whatever they were doing, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
whatever they were teaching, whatever else, sports or whatever. And I just kept drawing. I just always drew. And then graffiti came, and it was a wrap after that, having black books and passing them around. And, that and it all just took off, like I said, with high school and everything. So, there was people throughout time, but nobody, my aunt is the only influence I had as a kid. And it's just crazy now looking back at it that she wasn't even really an artist. It might have been 6 months for all I remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She had the talent there, though.
I mean, it was enough to spark me. I
Yeah.
remember. I still remember one of the drawings in my head, like this little cottage in the forest or something, and it was like I still remember it. I don't remember a lot of things, so um, yeah, I don't know. This is interesting how things work. She ended up giving me those charcoal pencils years later too. So that was
Ah,
nice.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask, take us through the sessions for Three Stripes.
Like the making of it and everything, or
Yeah,
the
because
tape. Or...
the tape, the 3 days with the 3 hours and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So initially, the way it started was, again, it was one of those days where it was like I work um, like one Saturday a month in Boston, and Boston is almost like a halfway point between me and Matthias's house. So usually those are the days I'll go to see Matthias. Like, oh, I work till noon. I'll get to your house by like 1. Let's cook something up. And I think, you know, I didn't really have a reason to be there. We weren't working on anything.
Mhm.
But every time I go there, I try to write something on the way. And like a couple days before that, I wrote a couple verses, and I was like, all right, I'll go there. We'll hang out. I'll do a song. We'll just release a Lucy or whatever, just on the spot. And then as I was driving, I was writing more, and I was thinking like, man, I wonder maybe I could do like 3 joints and just call it 3 stripes, and just maybe I could squeeze 3 out of it. Like I could do a long verse, I could do one with 2 verses, and then maybe I know I could get like G Fam or Sankofa
Mhm.
if they're around. They're very fast, like, and we're all spoiled by each other, um, being able to like write and record so fast. So um, I hit them both maybe the day before that, maybe that morning. I think that morning and I was like, all right, cool. So I'll have Kofa on one joint, I'll have G on another song, and then I'll have a solo song. And then, Kofa was like, he's a madman. He wrote his verse in like, I don't even, probably, 10 minutes he had his verse. And he's like, all right, where's the other two? And I was like, yeah, LOL, whatever. And he was like, well, I'm not joking. I'm like, yeah, I know you're not, but, and I'm like, and I'm looking at Matthias because I was already there. And I'm like, what are you thinking? He's like, I mean, I'm down, whatever. And I was already talking to G, like he had already had a verse. And there was another song that me and him were working on that we ended up not, we ended up just doing something else with the beat later. But I mean, we kind of just put it together and I was like, yo, let's just release it today. And it was like, yo, let's just do, and then it just became the three theme, It was like 3 hours, 3 songs, 3 MCs, 3 o'clock, $3. You know what I mean? And Kofa, we didn't even have the beats picked out. Like we'd have beats.
Oh, okay.
So Kofa was just like writing, like he wrote, like I sent him the beats and then I had to record and waiting for G Fam, and then by the time we were ready, Kofa had already sent his verses, and it was like he's a madman. Like we got the beats and sent them to him, and then started recording, and we did it, and it was just like, yo, this was a cool thing we did with no planning, and then we did it again a few months later. Like we still hadn't really planned it out. It was kind of the same way, but I was like, yo, we should just do this 3 times, and just have a whole album. And then the third time we did have to kind of schedule it because we were all so busy at the time. And it was really more of just like, hey, can you be around this day to write and record? And that was all we really needed, And yeah, it's great, man. Like it's a great thing to be able to have people that can do this. And again, we're just spoiled. And to the point where like sometimes we don't even hit people for features anymore because it's like, I don't feel like waiting. Even if it's like a week, you know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy now. Like it's ridiculous sometimes. Like, man, I don't want to wait a couple weeks, but that's absurd. Like a couple weeks is pretty quick. But now it's like, like I'll send St. Kofa a beat and he'll send me a voice message. He'll have like 12 bars before I even send him the beat. And I'm like, so I don't know. I'm fast, but them two, I don't know if I could do what they do as often as they do it. But that was definitely fun. Definitely a lot of fun.
Spoiled with talent.
Yeah, man. It's a great thing. And I mean, they both put out 12 albums last year. I put out like 6 or 5 or 6. So it was like, we were all busy and it was just this little impromptu thing, you know what I mean? Just out of nowhere, hey, and you don't want to get left out of it. I've had that happen a bunch of times where I'm like, yo, about to go record this album, and I got people in my inbox like, yo, send me something. I'm like, all right, and because people get inspired by that, I guess, and so it's cool, and it's dope having it with them, and we all make so much music together, and they're just both so good at what they do.
Yeah. Y'all just keep going, keep putting out quality music, and I know St. Kofa's about to drop the Fire That Wouldn't Die soon. I think that's May 1st, but he's having the listening party this Friday.
Oh, word. Oh, okay, word. I might be doing one for mine on Friday. Well, actually, it might not be Friday now, but soon. If I do it, I'll let you know. But
okay,
yeah, I might have to hop into Kofa's too.
Dope. Man, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but we definitely gonna come back again. But we still gotta talk a little bit. We gotta talk a little bit more about Used Crayons, because I want to know how you ended up working with Flu all the way out in Australia.
Yeah, yeah. That was I got to give full credit to Chuck Chan.
Okay.
Because
Home
I mean,
team.
I met Flu through like he produced a project for G Fam a couple years ago that I was on, and I listened to it, and Flu's really he's really a special producer. He's not just like I can make dope beats, but I just make dope beats. Really, like I try to be a better producer, but he's a master. He does so many little things that most people don't pick up on. So I just remember being like, man, like I really appreciate that type of stuff. So I remember just hitting him, no ulterior motives. No, I didn't try to get anything out of him. It was just like, yo,
Mhm.
I gave him his flowers for, whatever I said about the process and like, really just appreciate the little things that you do. And I know we don't get recognized for that type of stuff enough. So I just want to let you know, I see you, you know what I mean? And then when me and Chuck did the album, him and Chuck have worked together. They've done projects, and Flu had hit me out of the blue and like showed me a lot of love about the project, gave me a lot of props on it, and he was like, I really like it. It's really dope. And he didn't have to do that, like I didn't expect him to listen to it. I really didn't even know him. So it was just a dope thing that I even heard from him. And
Yeah.
I fully credit that to I mean, if it wasn't Chuck's project, he might not have heard it. So then we were in one of Chuck's lives. If you haven't been in one of Chuck Chan's lives,
Oh,
he's
please
like
do. Yep.
General Back Pain calls him the mayor of the underground, and everybody and anybody's prone to jump into that at one point or another. And I've I've made connections through multiple times through Chuck, just by Chuck playing beats and being in the chat. And Flu was in there on one of them, and I was in there, and Chuck was like, "Yo, Flu, you and P need to do a tape. Like y'all need to do it. Like you gotta get up with P and do something, man. Like P's a monster." And he was talking me up because he loves our album, The Painter's Touch, and Flu was just like, "I'm with it," and I was like, "Ooh,"
There
I
you
wasn't
go.
expecting that, So because Flu does his thing. Like I'm not gonna, I never hit him for anything. I'm letting him, he should be doing his business, and I figured if anything was ever gonna happen, it'd happen. I don't bother people for shit, you know what I mean? So, I figured at some point maybe if something happens, if it doesn't, cool. But when he said that, I was like, oh word, damn, okay, and I hit him, and we were both really busy at the time, and we were like, let's talk in like September or something. It was probably like 3 or 4 months down the line.
Hmm.
And I never really knew if it was going to happen for sure. And it was fun because I hit him, and he was like, "Yo, I was just going to hit you today," and I was like, "Wow, dope." So he sent me some beat. It was a while before like we had a chunk of beats that we were both happy with, and then you know I wrote faster than he was just sending beats, and I wrote the whole thing in a week, and
Wow.
I was just in a zone. And there was like when he first sent them, I went through them all to try to get a feel, and I wrote down like concepts for songs. I wrote like bars, half songs, hooks, like 5 songs worth that I could have built into songs. And once I had all the beats, I just started from scratch and wrote everything. And I kept adding songs, and I was like, I wonder how many he's gonna let me have. Like, when's he gonna say, all right, enough's enough? Because I kept going, yo, let me get one more, let me get 2 more, let me get 2 more. Like, yo, I'm gonna have all these shits done. If you could send me like 2 more by Friday, I'll have all these done references to you Saturday. And he sent them, and I didn't even use those 5 ideas I had back then. Like I found them after the fact. I forgot about them. So it was just so easy. Like he's so good that it just inspires me. It comes out of me. You know what I mean? So, then when it was time to get it cracking and move on it, he's a master with his post production. A lot of the beats sound different. Some in more extreme ways than others, and some don't sound that different, but he does so much in there that most people won't pick up on compared to what I wrote and recorded to, which was basically skeletons. And then, so he's a master at that. I'm doing the art stuff, and Tali mastered, mix and mastered it. And,
Yep.
I probably don't trust anybody as much as I trust Tali with my music. So, I just got to sit back and let two masters do what they do, which let me be able to do the art stuff, and yeah, man, I'm just grateful that Flu was down to do it and that we got to do it and that people are liking it, yeah, Flu's a master, man, so it was a pleasure to do it. And shout out to Chuck Chan, man. Shout out to Chuck Chan. You made it happen. That's the mayor right there.
He's a catalyst, man. He's definitely a catalyst. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he is. He is. Chuck's a good guy to know.
Yep. So we talked briefly about the physicals, and you also showed us. What made you want to go with the certain color schemes that you did? Because I mean, everyone knows what a Crayola box looks like, but you put your own twist on it, and I see how the design is and everything on the box as well.
Yeah. To be honest, I was when I painted the cover with like the oil painting looking like the painting one, not the one that looks like this.
Yeah.
I always had that in my head. And so when I went to go do it, I was like, oh, maybe I'll like add a little box. And I kind of like quickly did like a really rough version of this and then painted it like on its side so I could paint it. And then since I painted it, like I couldn't stray too far from it, but I kind of liked it. Like typically I wouldn't like these colors. Like I did do another version that had like cooler colors in it, but I really wanted to stick. Like I made sure not to go look at what a Crayola box looks like, because I was like, let me do it from memory, so that it kind of like like people know what it's kind of alluding to, but I don't want to copy it. And then I don't remember like I know there's yellow and green, but I was like, let me just use these like primary, the red obviously is a good advertising color or whatever. And I don't know. I just didn't put a ton of thought into them other than I make it like a marketable, like what would the masses, will the kids buy, not really like what does hip hop want? Because if it was hip hop, it would just be gray tones or, like red and black or something like that, which would be cool. But I thought this was more classic and more
It's got a vintage look to it.
Not hip hop, you know what I mean? Like it's not in a genre. It's just like you could see that, like, you might see like a pack of crayons that look just like this at Family Dollar or something. You know what I mean? Like some bootleg company. So I think that's all. That's kind of how I went into that.
So let's speak on the music a little more. The overall sound of used crayons. It's speaking of our characteristics, as well as our emotions, day to day with people, in our family or just interaction in public. And you go into it in different ways depending on, the tracks. Tell us, how after hearing Flu's production, how you wanted to present the album.
I knew I knew I wanted to do a theme because I felt like it was going to be an important album. Like I did the same thing with Chuck. when I heard the beats, it was like it was going to be important. Like I needed to make sure I had a theme. Um, and when I came up with the crayons, like the sound, like I said, like most, whether it's beats or writing or whatever, it's I go by mood, so I kind of try to match the mood of what I
Mhm.
hear. And honestly, sometimes I wish I could break away from that and just rap, but um, I get sucked into the mood too much, and I just I get carried off into whatever I end up doing. So I don't know. I don't know that I treated it like what I did know is I was gonna scatter art references and like crayon references and stuff like that throughout.
Mhm.
Um, like I made sure to like keep that throughout. Um, and then just kind of go off what I felt off the like I didn't have any song, like I didn't say like, oh, I want to have a song about you know all the people in my life, like the last song on the album, which ended up being like pretty powerful. But that was just something I said one day, was like, um, there's legends in my life story. Like I had a day where I just went out. I went to the studio. I went to a party. I went to an art studio, and I seen all these different people, all my friends and shit one day. And I was like, there's legends in my life story. And I thought that was like a dope concept. And I kind of just went off that. And, that beat really spoke to me. And, like there's like a story joint on there. And that's actually a true story, minus like a couple minor details I changed, but that's a true story. Um, like I heard the beat and I was like, this has to be a story. I used to try to get a story onto every album, but I don't do that so much anymore because it didn't really. I think I was doing it too much, and people weren't really responding to them, so I space them out a little bit. But um, yeah, off the top of my head, I didn't really have any themes, anything I really wanted to touch on, but I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing too um what's the word, like I wanted to make sure everything was solid and thought through and matched what Flu was doing. I did know like the song with Tali and Sankofa. There's a song right before it where I'm like in kindergarten and I'm like mixing glue and playing with crayons and all that. And then I'm like, yeah, cool, next year, cool. And then this like real like depressing beat comes in and
Roy G. Biv, yep.
yeah, so where I'm and then I'm talk Roy G. Biv then goes into
The sun glow.
Sun Glow where it's like it's me. Oh damn, like now I'm in school, they don't care about art no more, they don't care about me no more, they don't care about you know it's a big change. Like I just watched my kids go through it. And then it was like naturally I hit Kofa and Tali because they're both teachers. And I was like, first of all, I want to make sure you guys are cool with this is the approach I'm taking. And they were like, nah, yeah, the system sucks, like we're in. So they both approached it from there. Kof was teaching like younger kids, and Tali's teaching college students. And
Okay.
it kind of was like a gradual, it was me as the kid, then Kofa, then so I did kind of have that idea early on where it was like I do want to kind of touch on that, like what I said to you earlier, where like we're all artists until they stop teaching it. And it was kind of just that was the main point. And I wanted to add a little bit of fun to it and then a little bit of reality to it.
Got you. Mm. And I also like the track titles, because if anybody has ever seen the large crayon boxes, the distinct names that they
Yeah,
gave. So I like how
yeah,
you put that twist on it too.
yeah. I had that idea from very early on as well. Like that was like before I even had the album written. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have the crayons. I'm just gonna name them all after the colors. And the only tricky thing with that is, which I wish I could have done, but it would have been impossible. Is I have that. They say a condition. It's synesthesia, where you see color or you hear color. When you hear stuff, you associate color to it. So obviously that helps me with my art and my music, but I would have liked to have the songs didn't necessarily match the color that I have in my head when I hear them, but it's just the way it had to. Like, it would have been impossible to plan that out and map it out that way. But yeah, that's the most important back cover I've ever done, and it's like nobody ever sees the back cover, so it's like, please look at this, please see what I did. You know what I mean? But that was definitely a fun little twist to it. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And we also got to speak on the features, which before we get into the features, I think you are the one artist that I know of that has consistently worked with home team members.
Yeah. Well, GFAM does a lot of work with home team too.
True. Yeah.
People thought he was in home team. That's how much he was with them. But yeah, now home team and Knuckle Draggers are like cousins now. You know, Back Pain, and Chuck. Like, you know, if I get caught on the phone with them two, we're on the phone for hours, talking about all kinds of things. You know, Killy Shoot is from he's probably he's like a 40-minute drive from me. I don't really know Killy as well, but I mean, yeah, the whole team. I mean, I did a whole album with Onaje, and they're a dope crew, man. They're like I linked up with them through GFAM. You know, GFAM was like, yo, this dude Chuck Chan, like, he reminds me of you. You could both rap and you both make like grimy beats. I would love you guys to do an album. And I think he was bugging Chuck to do one without me knowing. And Chuck didn't even know who I was, you know? So it was like, but yeah, I mean, yeah, home team, those are our cousins, man. It's Knuckle Dragger cousins. And I always I always try to link people together that, like, Flu did an album with Chuck and GBP before, you know, and Chuck was supposed to be on it and we just didn't get it done in time. And, you know, there'll always be more.
Cool. Let's talk about the features on Crack Pepper. You got a Mav from the Cloth on there. You know.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Money Mowgli?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Salute to Mav, man. Like, he's I mean, I could go on and on about him. He's, you know, the wise dude that he comes off as in his music.
Absolutely.
And when he's talking and everything, is literally just the man that he is. Like, he's just that guy. You know, he's a real one. He's probably the realest dude that I've met in this. And you know, we've gotten to know each other, and yeah, I mean, that's now the fourth song that we've done together. Like, and you know, when I first heard him, I was like, man, I'd love to do some. I'd love to get on some shit with this guy, you know, and it worked out. And you know, I've done some art for him. Still some art that has yet to be shown to the world, which I'm impatiently waiting for the world to see. But yeah, man, I just appreciate Mav and all. I mean, he's given me advice, and you know, I've given him, whether he takes it or not, but like, we've talked about all different kind of topics. So Mav is just that dude, man. And that was one of those cases when that's when I was working on the album, and we were talking, and I was like, yeah, I'm about to go record this album this weekend or whatever. And he was like, yo, send me some. And I was like, all right. And I was like, I think I got the one. Like, I just knew which one, you know. And then we added Mowgli last minute. Like, I got on I was on one of Mowgli's albums last year that Tali produced. Mm-hmm. He's blowing up right now. Like, him and Shoddy. And yeah, I don't know. Something just was like, yo, man, like this would be a good joint to get him on because he can he got gems too, and bars, and like he can mix it up like me, like I can, like Mav can, and I just thought it was right. And I'm like, I ain't trying to rush you. You know, if you're busy, I know we're trying to mix this album in the next couple weeks, and he sent me that shit back in like an hour, couple hours, and
Work
yeah, that one
ethic. Yeah.
came out. I had to make that one because I just love that song. I'm proud of that one.
Yeah. Everything you said about Mav is 100% facts. You know, I got to speak with him in person a few years ago when he was down in New York, New York
Oh, that's
City.
dope. Dope.
Yep,
Yeah.
he genuine 100%. Yo, whatever experience he went through, he's learned to mature and put forth, you know, to put that wisdom into not just himself, but you know that same energy into other people he speaks with.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody that has really interacted with him says the same things. You know, every time I hear somebody talk about him, I'm like, yeah, same thing. You know, he treats everybody the same, and you know, he's the man. He's the man. I got a lot of time for Mav. You know, we could talk about him for a while. And on top of that, he's nice. You
Yes,
know, like he can
absolutely.
spit, like he can rap, and I mean, yeah, he's a problem all around.
So again, the merch is out there for used crayons, cassettes, CDs, and
Yes, sir.
again, one more of that special bundle.
Crayon tube with art print inside.
It's dope, man. Go check his
Crayon
IG.
boxes,
Create that.
activity sheets. Yeah.
Dope. I got a few more questions, and
Yeah.
you know, some of them are with your artwork. One being this artwork. Nobody bleeds like Flair. You can see part of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's dope.
How'd you end up, you know, getting that done? Because it was, if I remember, there's three different variants.
Yeah. I had done some. I did like some. I'm trying to remember initially how it started. Mickey found me, and he was following me, and I think I drew him. Like I did like a little cartoon of him.
Hmm.
Um, and you know we would talk here and there, and you know then we started talking a lot, and he hit me, and he had an image for that album, and he was like, can you do this, can you do something with this or do something better or whatever,
Yeah,
and yeah, I did the initial, the other variant, like the more painted one, and then like I wasn't really thrilled with it, and then I banged that one out. Like it took me way less time. Oh, there you go. You got both. That's what's up, man. That's dope. That's dope. Um, yeah, so I did. You know, I sent him those, and we did some lettering. He was gonna do like hoodies and stuff, but I guess I did lettering for it, and I guess he didn't end up using that. And then, yeah, I was surprised when the album came out and it wasn't my cover, but I still got two covers on there for the variant.
hmm
Um, and yeah, I got a lot of love for that. A lot of people hit me people hit me and were like, "Yo, did you do this?" Like they just knew my art. You know what I mean? And they, as soon as they seen it, they knew that
yeah,
first one, the cartoon one. So,
yep,
um, yeah, I mean, that was dope. Mickey was cool, just linking up with him and making that happen. And a lot of people showed me love on that. And that was a dope album too.
yeah,
Um,
definitely dope. Yep. Shout out to
yeah, and
Mallory Knox.
Yeah, Mal. Not yeah. Yeah, I started some art for her for something too, but that's something that's on hold or whatever. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I linked up with Big Trip through him, like Trip. He's seen me through Mickey, or Mickey told him about me or whatever, and Trip's cool too. Big Trip from the Umbrella.
Yep.
Shout out to him. He's good dude. Um, he knows art. He knows art, and he loves my art. So he's giving me a lot of love and shit. I've done a couple covers for him. So yeah.
That's dope, man. So being you mentioned about being distinct. Why is Guru your favorite MC?
um. So initially, it was the voice or not the voice, but initially, like when I first heard Gangstar, I was like, what is this? And I had to go back and listen and catch everything they did and his jazzmatazz and everything. But um, early on, like when I started rapping, he really clicked with me more, and he would talk about his voice and the monotone flow and having like a weird voice, and
Hmm.
that was me. Like that was shit that people said about me. And back then, I was more monotone. Like I didn't, I probably just sounded like I was reading raps when I was recording. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the delivery and the presence and all that. And I know, like I got a different voice. So really, it was him that speaking about that was like, damn, all right, like whatever, man. Like Guru said it's cool, and he's doing his thing, and I like him, and I can see how some people, some people don't like. I don't like certain artists just because of the voice. I can't take it too much. I wish that wasn't the case, but this is what it is. So it was that, but it was he came from here, from where I'm from, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, crabs in the bucket, man. Like I said, there's a reason Guru went to New York. You know what I mean? Like it's not a made up thing. Like he went to New York because he wasn't getting love here, and Guru, he's just I don't know, man. I just love Guru when he wasn't always like super lyrical or super like rapping a lot of syllables and like he wasn't going to be on a song with like Cannabis, body and beats or whatever, but
Right.
he could drop wisdom
All the time.
and make shit relatable, and like that's another thing you said about me that I thought that I really appreciated. I was like, damn, that's dope. Like I try to kind of like do like mirror music. Like I know Wordsworth coined that phrase, but that jumped out at me when he dropped that. It was like mirror music. I always used to keep that in the back of my mind when I used to make music years ago, but now I still kind of like there's a way to make like you could take a few different stories and make them relatable to make it a little more streamlined and easy to follow for more people to relate to. You get too specific, less people relate. So Guru was good at that too, and he was just like he didn't have to be the nastiest, but he could tell stories and he could do wisdom, he could talk to chicks, he could be fly, he could do all this,
He
and
gave you everything. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
and I mean obviously it didn't hurt that he had Premiere with him, but it was like that's all that like this is I'm like Boston did him dirty, you know what I mean? Because like I grew up like you're proud of Boston, like everybody here is proud of Boston, but then everybody hates on each other. So it was like it was just dope that he was from here, and then I would hear stories from people that knew him or knew his father or knew people that knew him, and he was like a legend, and he died on my mother's birthday. That's why I dropped April 19th. That's why I named it April 19th.
Wow.
Because my mother, growing up, my mother would be like, tell us all these horrible things that happened. Like, if you look it up, like the Columbine shooting happened, Waco, Texas, all kinds of crazy shit happened on April 19th. And she'd always be like, it's always on my birthday. And I was with her, and Guru died. I was with her that day, and I found out the next day. And, like, I teared up, man. I was like, damn.
Wow.
And like there was like people that I hadn't talked to in years, like from the neighborhood, that hit me like, yo, man, you hear about Guru? And I'm like that hit us, you know what I mean? So that's my guy. That's my number one, Guru, all
Wow.
time.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah.
Still nice, you know. Everything happens for a reason, you know. Both him and Guru,
Yeah.
not from New
Yeah,
York.
man. I mean,
Look what they
you know,
created.
yeah, and I mean he was so dope, and like the I remember when Big Shug was the one that told me when he was sick at a show, and we didn't know, like they were still keeping it kind of quiet, um and then he had passed a couple months later or whatever, and when they did a tribute show out here, like Static Selector and J. Rule the Damager and all these people came out, and me and my man Brandalism, we painted a big canvas, a big Guru canvas, and we gave it his to Guru's family. Like we donated it to his son, like his family.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Big Shug's wife was there, and she was heading out to New York the week after to bring like the money they raised and all this other stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
And she was bringing the painting, and she was like crying, and she hugged us. And J. Rule, it's a big ass painting, and J. Rule the Damager was on stage performing, like you couldn't even see him. He's like holding this big ass painting up,
Wow.
performing on stage. It was a dope night, and it was dope that we got to do that. You know what I mean? And I've actually been able to get some of my art. Like I've done a drawing of Guru every year since he died on his anniversary, and actually, damn, that means I got to do another one.
It's coming up there Saturday.
Yeah. So I've been able to get a couple of the pieces to Premiere where Premiere has seen them and like reacted to them, and that was dope. You know.
That's dope.
And it comes full circle. Like I've had a lot of. I know I'm rambling, but like the Moment of Truth is my favorite album ever, and it's like as the years went on, I have stories that can go with a lot of the songs through like people in the industry I've met or memories and different things like that. Album ended up having so many other more meanings to me. So it's just like, you know, he was a very important influence to me as an MC. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about the album too. And you know, I want to share one of my memories because I remember when it first came out. And I bought it on the release day and everything.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember, you know, looking at the back cover, 20 tracks, 20 songs. I kid you not, I listened to the first 10 songs for almost a month straight before I went and listened to track 11 to 20. Because I was enjoying it so much. And like it literally is a double album. They don't call it that, but it's a double album.
Yeah.
And you know, I was enjoying it so much, and I was so stuck on those first 10 tracks that I wasn't paying attention and kept going back and, you know, listening to those. And then the track 11 to 20.
That's dope. And it's funny too, because that first half really is a different album than the second half.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, you know, like a lot of the rugged stuff that they brought in at the end isn't really in the first half. So yeah, I mean I love that album, man.
Yep. All right, one more question before we go. And come to find out, you were nice at skateboarding and almost got sponsored.
Yeah, well, you like Nardwuar, man. Yeah. Yeah, how the hell do you know that shit? Yeah, I used to skate, and I did almost get sponsored by like a shop over a couple of them. Like people were talking. I mean, it may not have ended up being like a real big, like it may not have panned into anything, but yeah, I mean, I got into high school, I started kind of hitting the streets more and, you know, doing other things. I just didn't really have time for it. And it just, I
Mhm.
mean, I messed up my knee pretty bad too. So like I still have knee problems. So um that was part of it too. Like I definitely had to fall back a little bit because of that. But yeah, man, I was no joke. You
That's dope,
know,
man.
we were running wild, man. We this guy on our street, you know, we'd be up and down the street skating, and this dude, like he knew how to do woodworking and stuff, and he came out, he bought a bunch of wood, and he had us like help him build ramps and fun boxes and stuff like to
Nice.
teach us, but then to also give us something and be like, yo, and put wheels on them. And he was like, you guys can keep these in the side of my house, like just don't mess up other people's stuff, like just use
Hmm.
them, put them here, don't mess with my property and everything, just and you can have them. And we would
That's
just go
great.
out and he put wheels on them and you could wheel them out
Really out.
in and out of the street when the cars are coming and everything. And like, yeah, we go around everywhere, jumping over stairs and grinding on everything and carrying wax everywhere and, you know, tagging shit everywhere we went with it. You know, it was fun times, man. I still
That's
wish I
great,
could
man.
do it. I'm 2 left feet on it now though. Like I get on that thing and I'm like, I can't, you know, it ain't like riding a bike. I'll tell you that. General
That's
back pain knows some skateboarding shit too, man.
oh
I'm
word.
exposing him. I'm
Well,
exposing him a little. I think he got like knowledge of it. I don't know if he really skated that much, but that's
okay.
like a topic that I didn't expect to have in common with general back pain.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
dope.
man. Yeah, it was I was good, man. Like and my other friend that almost got sponsored, he just ended up getting in too much trouble, you know, so he
Mhm.
couldn't, you know, nothing ended up happening for us. But you know, I mean, I know some really dope skateboarders now that probably are. I don't even know if they're sponsored, but they're really dope. I know a lot of dope skaters still,
That's dope. Yeah, I had
and they're better than I ever was. Like I was young, I was still only like 14 when I stopped, but I was nice back then, you know.
yeah, I got two childhood friends that I'm still good friends with to this day, and they were nice with the BMX, and they almost got sponsored.
That's dope. Yeah, that's one thing I couldn't do, but that's dope.
Yeah, that's dope, man. P-Row,
Yeah,
man, thank you.
thank you, man. Happy to come back anytime and chop it up, man.
Absolutely. Use
Way past
crayons.
my bedtime.
It was worth it. Use crayons is out now. Produced by Flu, and Flu will be on HHDG Media, the podcast, next week. I'll definitely put that up probably on Sunday or Monday, let you know the time
Oh
and the
yeah,
date.
yeah, yeah. Dope. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, the time change is weird, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely pop in for that one.
dope, dope, man. So I'm going to put the link up once again for Use Crayons for anybody that's tuning in. Definitely go support it, share it, and there's still physicals available.
Yeah, not many, but they're still there. They're out there. Who's gonna get that one?
There you
One
go.
left. You heard it here first. One left.
Before we go, give you shout outs and let everyone know where they can reach out to you.
Word. Yeah. Instagram P_row_KD. That's the only thing I really, I don't really do the Facebook too much or Twitter. I can't stay up on it. Yeah, check me there. Artwork, music, everything. Um, I'm not taking commissions. I don't really get out there and say it too much, but not enough people know it. But I'm not taking art work jobs right now for the most part. If you think you can, if you know me and you think you can, then you probably can. But I got some like some health limitations with my neck and stuff, and other things that I'm doing is limiting what I can do. So, but
Understood.
a lot of art. I got a lot of art. I have so much art that I have categories of. I have hundreds of of pieces that I don't know.
Wow.
I have too much art. I don't know what to do with it all. So more will be coming. I got shirts, hoodies, and stuff coming this year. Print runs possibly. I'm trying to see if I can get into the Comic-Con in Boston over here.
Ooh,
I'm not sure if I'm
nice.
gonna have time to fit into that, but definitely stay in the loop. I'm dropping an album every month this year. Just dropped the one with Flu, like we said. Yeah, and shout out Knuckle Draggers, G Fan Black, Tali Rodriguez,
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Cloak and Dagger, Crack Sizzlack, Matthias, Ugly John, OG Ben Grimm, my man Oblivious, you know, the whole team, man. Home team too. Chuck Chan, GBP, shout out to Flu. Everybody we're rocking with, man. And
There it is.
yeah, Knuckle Draggers. Everywhere I go. That's it. Knuckle Draggers. That's the team. And shout out for getting me on here, and happy to do it.
There it is.
And you did some good research, man. Good questions and stuff. And usually
Man,
it's like I drop an album and somebody gets me on this show and they just want to talk about art. But it's like, I like talking about the music. So it's good to have a bit of both.
Yep.
So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. And on behalf of our HHDG media crew, we're gonna say peace.
Peace.